There are moments in your life when everything feels like it's falling apart. The pressure is heavy. The noise is loud. The storm is relentless. You've prayed, you've waited, you've believed, and yet the winds keep blowing. But what if I told you the storm is not your enemy? What if the very thing shaking you is positioning you? Today, this is not just a message. This is a divine reminder. Take your eyes off the storm. Put them back on God. Because your miracle is not behind you, it is ahead of you. What you focus on determines what you experience. Focus is not just a mental activity. It is a spiritual decision. Wherever your eyes settle, your emotions follow. If your eyes remain fixed on the storm, your heart will rehearse fear. If your attention is consumed by the wind and the waves, your confidence will begin to erode. The storm may be external, but fear is internal, and fear grows wherever focus feeds it. That is why God is not merely concerned about the storm around you. He is concerned about the direction of your vision, because vision shapes perception, and perception shapes reality. When you look constantly at the problem appears larger than it truly is. When you replay the crisis repeatedly in your mind, it becomes magnified beyond proportion. The storm becomes your meditation. The difficulty becomes your conversation. The obstacle becomes your identity. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live under the shadow of what you were meant to overcome. Focus determines emotional climate. It determines whether you live in anxiety or assurance, in panic or in peace. Shifting your focus does not deny the existence of the storm. It repositions your trust. Faith is not pretending the wind is not blowing. Faith is deciding that the wind does not have the final word. When you put your eyes back on God, you anchor yourself to something unshakable. The storm may move, but He does not. The waves may rise, but He remains steady. The circumstances may fluctuate, but His nature is constant. And when your focus locks onto what is constant, your stability returns. The human mind naturally gravitates toward what threatens it. Survival instincts push you to analyze danger, but destiny requires a higher discipline. You cannot fulfill purpose while staring at fear. You cannot walk in authority while meditating on insecurity. You cannot rise above circumstances while being hypnotized by them. Focus is a choice. It is a deliberate act of redirecting attention from what is temporary to what is eternal. And when you master your focus, you master your emotional response to adversity. Storms, however, are not random interruptions in your life. They are revelations. Storms reveal what is inside you. They expose your level of trust. They uncover your depth of conviction. When everything is calm, anyone can speak faith. When everything is predictable, anyone can declare confidence. But when the winds begin to challenge your stability, what you truly believe rises to the surface. The storm is a mirror reflecting the strength of your foundation. The intensity of the battle is evidence of the value of your destiny. No one attacks what is insignificant. Resistance is often a sign that you are advancing towards something meaningful. The greater the assignment, the greater the opposition. Storms gather around purpose because purpose threatens mediocrity. When you understand this, you stop interpreting storms as proof of abandonment and start seeing them as confirmation of calling. A seed must break open before it grows. An eagle must face strong winds to rise higher. In the same way, you must encounter resistance to develop resilience. The storm is not designed to destroy you. It is designed to develop you. It stretches your capacity. It strengthens your endurance. It sharpens your discernment. It teaches you to depend on something deeper than emotion. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? Because storms do not arrive to cancel destiny. They arrive to clarify. They strip away distractions. They expose weaknesses that need reinforcement. They push you beyond comfort into growth. And in that process, your character expands to match your calling. Pressure is misunderstood by those who only value comfort. Most people pray for elevation, but resist the process that prepares them for it. They desire influence, but avoid the intensity required to sustain it. Yet pressure is not sent to crush you. It is sent to construct you. Every significant assignment requires expanded capacity, and capacity is never developed in ease. It is developed under weight. It is developed when expectations stretch you beyond convenience. It is developed when responsibility demands more than your current strength appears able to supply. Gold does not become refined in a display case. It is refined in fire. The fire does not destroy the gold. It removes what does not belong. In the same way, pressure exposes impurities in thinking, weaknesses in discipline, and inconsistencies in character. It reveals impatience, insecurity, pride, and fear, not to shame you, but to strengthen you. Preparation is often disguised as discomfort. Growth is often wrapped in inconvenience. And the very season you are trying to escape may be the very season building the stability you will later depend upon. When pressure increases, your true level of development becomes visible. Anyone can perform when conditions are ideal. Anyone can remain calm when outcomes are predictable. But when deadlines tighten, when opposition intensifies, when resources appear limited, your internal structure is tested. Pressure forces you to dig deeper. It forces you to think differently. It forces you to rely on principles rather than emotions. Without pressure, potential remains dormant. With pressure, potential is activated. Pressure teaches endurance. It builds resilience that comfort can never produce. Muscles grow by resistance. Minds expand by challenge. Leadership matures through responsibility. If you remove pressure, you remove growth. The key is not to pray for less pressure, but to develop greater perspective. Understand that what feels heavy now is increasing your strength. What feels demanding now is expanding your discipline. What feels overwhelming now is enlarging your capacity. At the same time, fear attempts to distort everything pressure is meant to accomplish. Fear magnifies the difficulty and minimizes your ability. It whispers that you are not ready, not capable, not equipped. It tells you the storm is stronger than your structure. Fear is a liar that feeds on focus. The more attention you give it, the louder it becomes. And soon the issue is no longer the external challenge, but the internal narrative. Fear distorts perception. It makes temporary setbacks appear permanent. It turns minor delays into catastrophic conclusions. It convinces you that one mistake defines your future. Under the influence of fear, you begin to exaggerate obstacles and underestimate opportunity. You start reacting instead of responding. You shrink instead of stretching. You retreat instead of advancing. Faith, however, clarifies. Faith does not deny facts. It interprets them correctly. It sees the challenge, but also sees the possibility within it. It acknowledges the pressure, but understands its purpose. Faith recalibrates your vision so that you evaluate circumstances through promise rather than panic. Where fear says this is the end, faith says this is a process. Where fear says you cannot handle this, faith says you are being strengthened by this. You cannot operate in faith and fear simultaneously at full capacity. One will dominate your thinking. One will shape your decisions. When fear dominates, you hesitate. When faith dominates, you act with conviction. Fear locks you into survival mode. Faith moves you into purpose mode. Fear narrows your vision to the immediate problem. Faith widens your perspective to the long-term promise. Pressure is productive when faith governs it. Without faith, pressure feels destructive. But when you magnify God instead of the problem, clarity replaces confusion. Courage replaces anxiety. Confidence replaces insecurity. And the same storm that once intimidated you becomes the training ground that strengthened you. Vision is the ability to see beyond what is visible. It is the capacity to stand in the middle of contradiction and still believe in possibility. Anyone can react to what is happening. Vision requires you to respond to what is coming. When chaos surrounds you, vision stabilizes you. It reminds you that circumstances are temporary, but purpose is intentional. It reminds you that what you are experiencing is not the totality of what has been spoken over your life. Without vision, chaos becomes controlling. Every negative report feels final. Every delay feels fatal. Every closed door feels like permanent rejection. But vision interprets events differently. It sees a closed door as redirection. It sees delay as development. It sees opposition as confirmation that movement is taking place. Vision refuses to let the present moment dictate the ultimate outcome. When you possess vision, you are not easily shaken by turbulence. Just as a pilot trusts the instruments more than the shaking of the aircraft, a person with vision trusts the promise more than the pressure. Instruments provide accurate data even when visibility is low. In the same way, divine promise provides clarity when circumstances are confusing. Vision anchors you to what has been declared, not merely to what is displayed. Chaos tests vision. It challenges whether you truly believe what you claim to believe. When results are not immediate, vision keeps you disciplined. When applause is absent, vision keeps you consistent. When progress appears slow, vision reminds you that growth often happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible above it. Seeds develop roots before they break through soil. Foundations are laid before structures rise. Vision understands process. Many people abandon their position because they misinterpret the process. They assume that difficulty means misalignment. They assume that resistance means retreat. But vision recognizes that meaningful progress is rarely effortless. It requires endurance. It requires patience. It requires the willingness to hold on to what you see internally, even when it is not yet manifested externally. And this is where focused faith becomes critical. Miracles are not random events falling from the sky without order. They occur at the intersection of belief and alignment. A miracle is divine intervention responding to sustained trust. It is not triggered by panic. It is activated by persistence. Focused faith refuses to be distracted by the noise of the storm. It remains fixed on the character and capacity of God. If your attention shifts constantly between faith and fear, your stability weakens. Double-minded focus produces unstable movement. But when your focus becomes disciplined, your faith becomes powerful. You begin to speak differently. You begin to act differently. You begin to expect differently. Your posture changes because your perspective has changed. You are no longer reacting to what you see. You are responding to what you believe. Miracles follow consistency. They follow obedience that continues even when results are not immediate. They follow trust that remains firm even when evidence appears limited. Focused faith is not loud, it is steady. It does not fluctuate with every report. It does not collapse under temporary pressure. It maintains direction. When you refuse to surrender your focus to fear, you create an environment for intervention. When you continue walking despite uncertainty, you demonstrate alignment with purpose. When you keep believing despite contradiction, you position yourself for manifestation. Faith keeps moving when logic hesitates. Faith keeps building when others abandon. Faith keeps declaring when silence would feel easier. Your miracle is not merely about the outcome you desire. It is also about the transformation you experience while waiting. Focused faith changes you internally before the situation changes externally. It strengthens resolve. It sharpens discernment. It deepens trust. And as your focus remains fixed, what was once distant begins to align with what you have consistently believed. We have learned that focus determines outcome. What you stare at will shape you. If you stare at fear, you will shrink. If you focus on God, you will stand. Storms are not sent to destroy destiny, but to reveal it. Pressure is not punishment, it is preparation. Fear distorts reality, but faith clarifies purpose. Vision allows you to see beyond chaos, and focused faith positions you for divine intervention. The storm may still be around you, but it no longer has to be within you. When your eyes are fixed on God, stability replaces anxiety, clarity replaces confusion, and strength replaces doubt. The battle confirmed your value, the pressure built your capacity, the waiting strengthened your faith, and the miracle you've been praying for is already aligning behind the scenes.